Over the summer, I took the most exciting trip to Ethiopia.
Welcome to Ethiopia.
Oh, wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. My work as a professor has always given me opportunities to travel, but last year was crazy in a good way. I spent a week in London with colleagues developing a new course, went to a conference in LA, then drove up the Pacific Coast Highway for fun before crossing over Central California to the Sequoia National Forest to see some big trees. I gave a lecture at the University of Florida, went to the Galapagos Islands on vacation during my research leave, attended a conference in Copenhagen, gave a lecture at Louisiana State University, and taught in Denmark during the spring semester, which was a launchpad for other European travel. And I have to say, it was refreshing to escape the polarized discourse of the USA while growing my appreciation of the social safety net, egalitarianism, and a high level of civilization that I found in Copenhagen. But actually, everything I learned from these assorted experiences really started to come together and make sense to me in a deeper way in the remote Simien Mountains of Ethiopia. I met Wabetu during his first year at Wake Forest University, and I was immediately drawn in by his enthusiasm and his positive attitude.
I'm a happy person who enjoys little moments and someone who is always looking for an adventure and experience to grow as a person and to empower others as well.
When I first met Wabetu, he showed me lots of pictures and video footage of where he came from, and it was beautiful. He knew I love moss, so he showed me lots of pictures of moss and running water and pictures of his family. And I thought then that if I ever had an opportunity to go see this beautiful place and meet the family of this remarkable young man, that I wanted to do it. In my office that first day, we discussed a film project Wabetu had undertaken to tell his extraordinary story, which has been documented elsewhere. But let me just say a bit here. The journey of this young shepherd, first to school in a neighboring village over 2 hours away by foot, and eventually to an elite American university after a chance encounter with the founder of Tom's Shoes. It's incredible, and it seems meant to be, if you believe in such things. When I saw the footage of his homeland and heard him talk about his family and community customs, I knew that I would like to meet his parents and see his world through my own eyes if I could. It has been fascinating to watch Wabetu walk in two worlds. Spaces in the United States filled with resources taken for granted by the people living there, and other spaces in Ethiopia that present challenges to people like me who are used to creature comforts. In both worlds, Wabetu brings his authentic self.
But mostly I feel their difference comes in within their experience and in the opportunities that they have around them and the resources that they have. For example, in the US and the Western culture, you have different type of resources. Like a person might not be walking 5 hours to go to school, and they would be complaining a lot in the Western culture, whereas in Ethiopia, you don't have those resources, so you sort of accustom based on the resources that you have in your home country.
My friend Maria and I made the trip together, and we stayed in the same lodge in the Simien Mountains where Wabetu and his friend Muller used to sleep as boys when they were shepherding. The thin walls and dirt floors did not keep out the cold during the rainy season, and the lack of running water made other daily routines challenging too. Maria took this photo of me getting ready for bed one night, and she remarked that I looked like a babushka. I think there is an element of the image that does transcend time and place, and perhaps that's why I started to make connections that night after we turned off the lone light bulb hanging from the woven sticks that made up our ceiling. My history is really not so different from Wabetu's if I look back several generations. My mother's parents started out as sharecroppers in Cleveland County, North Carolina. She didn't live in a house with running water until she was about 4 years old. My father's family owned their small farm in the same county, but his house didn't have an indoor toilet until he was 10. As I shivered beneath my layers of clothing inside my sleeping bag, trying to warm up enough to invite sleep, I remembered visiting one of my dad's family members as a child and having to use an outhouse. It was scary to me then, but that experience probably helped prepare me for this remote area of Ethiopia. From that point on, I started to think about people as more alike in the important, fundamental ways, and different in more superficial ways related to our respective environments.
Actually, I have a tattoo here that describes my values in some degrees. So this is an anchor, an anchor is used to balance a ship or a boat, right? For me, it's a balance of family, fun, and work.
Family is a cornerstone of my own life, too. And during my 4 months in Denmark prior to visiting Ethiopia, I was struck by how important family life is to many Danes as I marveled at the number of men I saw in public spaces with their children. Surely a benefit of generous maternity and paternity leave. In Ethiopia, I enjoyed meeting Wabetu's parents, siblings, and grandmother.
This is my parents' house. I was born and raised in this place, and actually we used to have the house right here. It was made out of grass, but now we have the tin house right here now.
Throughout the trip, I felt a special connection to Wabetu's dad. He went with us everywhere in the mountains and honored Maria and me by donating a sheep from his flock for a feast the night before we left the Simeon Mountain National Park. Although he spoke very little English, he was able to crack the occasional joke that made us laugh, and we bonded over our shared values, especially our love of family. Sitting next to me at breakfast the morning before our departure, he looked at me and pointed. "Babies?" he inquired, then counted on his fingers, asking if I had any children. I smiled, held up a finger, and said, "1." I pulled out my phone, looked up a picture of my 26-year-old son, and extended the phone to him. The look of utter love on his smiling face mirrored that of good people everywhere when we share pictures with friends of our loved ones, especially photos of children and grandchildren. When Wabetu's father brought the phone to his lips to bestow a kiss on the image of my son, I thought my heart would explode. The values that typify the best of humanity, love and kindness and gratitude and family, in whatever forms we find and define family, convince me that we humans are much more alike than we are different in all the ways that matter most. Welcome to Ethiopia. Welcome to the world.